Hi, welcome back to the channel. This is Cindy Casino Real Estate with Cindy. Well, today we're going to talk about inspection. Now, this happens after we've already gotten our contract, yay. But I'm going to look at it from both the listing agent's point of view and the buyer's agent point of view. So let's start off with the listing point of view. The inspection is a very important time. I always go to inspection, whether it's a listing or a buyer. I always go. Especially if you're a new agent. These are so important because this will make you a better listing agent if you're a buyer's agent going to an inspection. Listen, watch, pay attention to what they're doing. Don't be on your phone diddling around. Pay attention to what's going on. Listen for conversations, especially if the buyer's there. You want to learn about just the different construction issues. Now, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an electrician, and I'm not a plumber, but you learn some interesting things that will make you better about flex piping under sinks, how they use that to be cheap, or they put the wrong kind of screws in the panel box. That'll affect your 4-point, which is your electrical, heating, air, plumbing. So you want to make sure that that is in your roof. You want to make sure that everything is buttoned up so that when you see the report, you go, oh yeah, I remember them talking about that, or I know exactly what that means. Especially panel boxes, the electrical panel box, sometimes these little spacers are missing and they'll make a big deal out of it and it's 10 cents from the hardware store. Not a big deal. So these are things that you can catch at the beginning when you're getting the listing to kind of stop this little no-nonsense kind of stuff. Doors sticking, a door handle that's loose. The inspector will write up everything. So it kind of gives you a little heads up for your next listing so that you know for things to look forward to. As far as the homeowner always wants to be there because they're curious. Now, if you're a good listing agent, you keep your seller informed. So they know that you're going to call them right away or text them if there's an issue or something they need to verify. But it's better if they're not there because they get their feelings hurt or they, that's not a big deal, I can fix that. No, you don't want them there. It's just not a good idea. It really is. It's better that you're their representative. Let me take care of that. You don't have to worry about it. Now, it's a little harder if it's an elderly person and they don't have any mobility skills. Yes, maybe you ask them to step out onto the sunroom and enjoy the morning and give them a book or whatever and get them out of the way. But, this is the time for the buyers to come in and really look at the place. Open all the doors, all the drawers, the closets, measure, look at where they're going to put their furniture, look at everything in there. So it's a good time, and it just for some reason the sellers don't take well to it. They feel like they're being invaded. Especially different cultures feel that way. So it's just best if they go to breakfast or go to lunch, go somewhere and allow you time. Now, a condo will take usually not more than an hour and a half for a condo. A house 2 to 3 hours, sometimes 4, depending on the size and how big the team is of inspectors. If you have 2 inspectors come in, that's half the time, and that's great. They either start on different floors, different mechanism, different whatever. So that helps a lot if there's 2 people there. Just if it's a listing, I always go in early and kind of just do a quick walkthrough and make sure there's not anything out that shouldn't need to be out. Private papers or medicines, jewelry, anything that could cause a problem to the transaction. I go ahead and get that stuff put away because you just don't want to, they always have plungers by the toilet. Just put all that stuff away. Just have it look pleasant. Turn all the lights on. Get it ready for them because that's the first thing the inspector does is comes in and turns on everything that has a light bulb in it. So, because they want to check fans, they want to check everything, and they don't write up in there that the fan light wasn't working. Well, it makes it sound like something's wrong with the fan. Well, the light bulb's out. So, this is a good hint for you as a listing agent. Go through and make sure everything's got a bulb in it that needs to have a bulb in it that they'll be checking. They don't check lamps too much. It's more, light fixtures, bathroom fixtures, whatever, because sometimes people undo the bulb because they don't want it so bright in there. Well, make sure everything works because that's important because that'll come up in the report, believe me. When they're giving the report, this is from looking at it from the listing side of point. I have only in the years I've been doing real estate been asked to leave the room one time. The rest of the time they'll say, I'll go into the other room. Listen. or I will just sit there. And whenever an issue comes up, every time they look at me as a listing agent, like, are you gonna fix that? Are you gonna fix that? Like poker, have a poker face. Just sit there and I make notes on my front of my folder. Just, things that might need to be buttoned up, depending on what kind of repairs they're going to ask for. If it's all door jamb is sticking, the doorknob needs to be tightened, that kind of stuff. You may have a handy seller and he'll go, I'll take care of those things. That'll be nice. That'll be good for them when they come into the house. But if it's big stuff, I'm talking about the air conditioner's 15 years old, there's not anything you can do about it. I don't care how many times you've had it maintained, it's going to be a sticking point. Or if there's this flex piping underneath the half-bath sink, it's a flexible kind of hose versus a solid PVC pipe. They don't like that. That may need to be changed. Or if it's the dishwasher drain line isn't at the correct angle, then your dishwasher doesn't drain properly and it can cause rusting. See that I don't know how many times. Panel box missing a screw in the panel box. Just small stuff. Now, depending on the price point of the house, I hate to say, is what they ask for. In a house, it's going to be a roof issue. But we're talking today more about condos. And with condos, there's surely not that much to be worried about. They worry about, what does the HOA cover on the patio versus what you're supposed to as a homeowner cover and that kind of thing. So, but in a house, it's a little different. It's a little more intense on the negotiating afterwards. Even though these are as-is contract, I don't care. They're going to come back and go, we want these things fixed. So just kind of make little notes and just kind of listen to what, if the buyer's there, that's great. You can kind of listen to what gets their hackles up a little bit. You kind of go, okay, that's an important thing. I need to kind of star that. That seems to bother them more. It may be an electrical panel issue, which is so stupid. But, it's just something. So you just kind of listen to what their problem is emotionally, because it's usually something that happened in a previous house that really caused a lot of problem. Maybe it's a leak or a plumbing issue or it's an electrical issue. Just something is bothering them. Now, we have a lot of older homes here in St. Pete area that have the cloth-covered wiring, and it's the old wiring, and that has to all be remediated. So that's something you just need to ask if you go through and see the age of the house. You know that in those eras, these things came up. Lead-based paint, whatever. Just be aware of that kind of thing, but pay attention. Listen to what they're saying, and also listen to how the inspector is delivering the information to them. Now, we have had it where it sounded in the report like a whole roof needed to be done. Actually, it was a piece of blackjack on the back screw on the back ridge vent fixed. So, you got to take it. Pay attention. It just helps. I can't say that enough. Just listen, 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 listen. And don't promise anything. Just say, I'll get back to my seller and we'll let you know, if there's an issue, write it up, whatever. So when they get the report, they kind of go over it, and usually there's things highlighted that are 4-point issues or things that would cause them not to get insurance, or it's just nitpicky stuff. So you just pay attention when you're there. Usually after the inspection, you will get a list or a request, and I usually ask the buyer's agent, is there something on this list that really bothers them, or that if we could get this fixed, they would be happy? Or would it be better to have a credit, because sometimes money speaks, at closing for these items to go away in their mind? Just kind of feel it out as to what is important to this buyer for your seller. And usually the seller gets the feelings hurt. I can't believe they're holding up on the I don't even like them, and you just calm them down and say, let's just wait till we get the paperwork and see what it says. And then I just attack it, a line, because I've had some that's 2-page long, and I'm like, holy moly. Come to find out, getting a good handyman in there took care of 9/10 of it. You're like, golden. And they were thrilled with that. They didn't care about that 10th thing. So just kind of weigh it back and forth. Don't panic as an agent. It can be fixed usually, unless it's just something that's catastrophic, a sinkhole, usually the people are so excited they still want to buy it, but they just want to make sure that they're not coming into a big repair job. So pay attention to this and calm down your sellers and see how we can help. Now, when it comes to a credit, they always want to have their hand in your pocket. So guard your paycheck. This is a transaction between the buyer and the seller, not you. So pay attention to the language, and usually the seller will say, that's fine, we'll take care of X, we'll take care of Y. You go back and forth between the two, and it all gets worked out. It's fine. But sometimes the seller says, I think everyone should share in the pain of this transaction. Well, no. And what I usually say to them is, listen, when we signed the listing agreement, I told you the expectations of what I was going to do with my job. Have I done everything I said I'm going to do? And they usually go, yeah. I said, then I deserve to be paid. I have done everything I said I was going to do and beyond. So, try to keep them out of your pocket, especially if your check is $3,000, $4,000 and you've got to do splits with your office and you're paying a closing coordinator or whatever. Don't do it. Just, hold out. It'll happen. And I've never seen a transaction bust over a couple $100. So, go back and forth. If the seller, the buyer's agent wants to buy a home warranty to help the transaction close and that'll make them feel better, let them buy it. But you don't have to contribute to it unless you want to. But you know what? We're here to make money and to close a transaction, and we're doing our job as a professional. So, try to keep their hands out of your pocket. One of the big things too is be nice. Be nice to the inspector. Walk in the door, shake their hand, introduce you. I have nothing worse than walking in and the person opens the door and they look like they just rolled out of bed and you're like, who is this person? Oh, I'm the listing agent. You're like, really? Be professional. Have on your name tag so they know who you are and can recognize you in the transaction. Be professional. Be nice to everyone. You don't have to be their best friend, but you know what? If you have a good rapport with a buyer's agent or a listing agent, then it kind of helps the transaction along. And if they know you've been doing a lot of transactions or they know you're a strong, knowledgeable agent, things go so much better. I had a call yesterday and it was an agent I had never spoken to before. And she said, I looked at your listing and it was so good that I knew that you knew the area and I wanted to talk to you because I am getting a listing in there. Be nice. You never know what this person may do. So you just want to be a good, friendly representative of your seller or your buyer. When you're through with the inspection, make sure that you have closed up the house. You've got everything back to where it's supposed to be. All the lights are turned off or your seller's coming back home. Give them a quick text, come back home. Be sure to do that. Treat your home like your own. Don't just walk out. I did miss a point to tell your sellers that they're going to turn on everything that is conveying with the sale. That is the washer, the dryer, the dishwasher, the microwave, the sinks, the plumbing, everything. They turn everything on all at one time. And that's kind of to see how the water pressure is, from front to back of the condo. See how hot the hot water comes on, all that kind of stuff. So, warn them, everything's going to be turned on. So if they want to put some dishes in the dishwasher, fine, put some soap in there, he'll turn it on, you'll get a quick wash out of it. Or some laundry, same thing. Just make sure it doesn't get off balance. But, just warn them that they're going to be opening and closing stuff, all the doors, all the windows, everything that can be opened will be opened. And so, if they've got things hanging in front of it or a macrame or the drapes are really heavy, have them pull them back because he's going to be opening and closing those windows and checking them out. He checks every plug in the place, so make sure those are accessible to them. So just have it ready for it so the inspector doesn't have to stress out on how he's going to get to it. So the bottom line is go to inspection. I don't care if you're the selling agent or you're the buyer's agent. Go to inspection so you can hear it. Because a lot of times down here we have out-of-town buyers. So they want to hear, because they get this report from out of town and it sounds like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff. That's the inspector's job, is to find stuff. So that way you can go, oh, no, I saw that it was just this plug was a little crooked on the wall. I'm not kidding you, they will write it up. And this doorknob was a little loose. Worst case scenario, you can give them a handyman for 2 hours. It'll cost you maybe $50 if it's a big transaction, and get everything done. Whatever, just, try to make the transaction work, but try to get the selling agent to take care of these issues that are important to your buyer's agent. So good luck, congratulations, you got through inspection. Oh, I did want to make one more point. If you are the buyer's agent, after you get through the inspection period, be sure and call the selling agent if there was nothing that needed to be reported, and let them know, we're good, we're moving forward in the transaction. Also, during the inspection time, it's a good time to fill out the application for the condo association or the HOA. Just kind of get everybody excited about it. We're getting close to closing. So have them go on and fill that kind of stuff out, because estoppel letters, if it's less than 30 days, for the estoppel letter, which is the HOA saying to the closing team and the buyer's agent, everything's good, we're ready to go. If it gets within 30 days, then they're going to charge an extra $150, $250 fee for a rush fee, which is kind of a joke, but it happens. So make sure they go in and get that filled out for you, because I do have agents wait until after inspection, and we've got a really quick close, and it causes all kind of problems because the seller, believe me, sees that charge of $150, $250 for a rush charge. They go, we had 45 days. What's the rush? Well, if you wait till after the inspection, you're going to be into that 30-day window, and that will make people upset. So go ahead and get them to fill that stuff out. I know it's a pain. Supposedly, what if you do cancel a transaction? Well, you're down 10 minutes of time filling out that application. Just go in and get it done. Don't be a lazy agent. Really encourage your buyers to go in and fill that out. Thank you for watching. If you're looking to be a better agent, or you're a new agent getting into the business, you might want to look at a couple of these new videos that we have that will help you on that process. I want to thank you for watching. If you liked what we're saying, please like and subscribe. Look forward to talking to you again.